Hello students, today we will start the chapter Fair Play. It is a very interesting story written by Munshi Premchand. Actually, the story was written in Hindi, but it is translated here in your textbook in English. So, Munshi Premchand, let us know some things about the writer. Munshi Premchand's real name was Dhanpat Rai Srivastav, but he is better known by his pen name Munshi Premchand. What is a pen name? Pen name is a name used by a writer instead of his real name when publishing a book, article, or any other work. Okay, it is a pseudonym, a false name. So his real name was Dhanpat Rai Srivastav, but his pen name was, he used the pen name Munshi Premchand. He was born on 31 July 1880. He is one of the most celebrated writers of India. He is also regarded as one of the foremost Hindi writers of the early 20th century. His famous works include Godan, Karmbhumi, Gaban, Mansarovar, and Eidgah. Okay, now let us ponder upon some questions before reading the story. Has your best friend ever done something you thought was wrong? What did you do then? Did you keep quiet or did you tell your friend what you thought? Think about it, okay? Has your best friend ever done something you thought was wrong? What did you do then when you thought it was wrong? And did you keep quiet or did you tell your friend what you thought? This story is about deciding what is more important, friendship and enmity, or a sense of what is right and what is wrong. You can understand from the title of the story itself, Fair Play. Fair play means the equal treatment of both the parties according to the law. Okay, without any partiality or clouding your judgment because of friendship or enmity or revenge. Okay, so now I will read the story first and you will listen to me very carefully how I pronounce each and every word. Then we will see the explanation. Okay. Jumman Sheikh and Algu Chaudhary were good friends. So strong was their bond of friendship that when either of them went away from the village, the other looked after his family. Both were greatly respected in the village. Jumman had an old aunt who had some property. This she transferred to him on the understanding that she would stay with him and he would look after her. The arrangement worked well for a couple of years. Then the situation changed. Jumman and his family were tired of the old relative. Jumman became as indifferent to her as his wife, who grudged even the little food that the old lady wanted every day. She swallowed these insults along with her food for a few months, but patience has its limits. One day she spoke to Junman. My son, it is now obvious that I am not wanted in your house. Kindly give me a monthly allowance so that I can set up a separate kitchen. My wife knows best how to run the house. Be patient, said Jumman shamelessly. This made his aunt very angry, and she decided to take her case to the village panchayat. For many days, the old lady was seen talking to the villagers, explaining her case and seeking their support. Some sympathized with her, others laughed at her, and a few others advised her to make it up with her nephew and his wife. At least she came to At last she came to Algu Chaudhary and spoke to him. You know, Chachi, Jumman is my best friend. How can I go against him? Algu said. But is it right, my son, to keep mum and not say what you consider just and fair? Pleaded the old lady. Come to the panchayat and speak the truth, she said. Algu didn't reply, but her words kept ringing in his ears. The panchayat was held the same evening under an old banyan tree. Jumman stood up and said, the voice of the punch is the voice of God. Let my aunt nominate the head punch. I will abide by her decision. The punch knows neither friend nor enemy. What do you say to Algu Chaudhary? The old lady announced. Fine, replied Jumman, hiding his joy over this unexpected piece of luck. Chachi, you are aware of my friendship with Jumman, said Algu. I know that, replied the aunt. But I also know that you will not kill your conscience for the sake of friendship. God lives in the heart of the punch, and his voice is the voice of the God. And the lady explained her case. Jumman, said Algu, you and I are old friends. Your aunt is as dear to me as you. Now I am a punch. You and your aunt are equal before me. What have you to say in your defense? 3 years ago, began Jumman, my aunt transferred her property to me. I promised to support her as long as she lived. I have done all I could. There have been a couple of quarrels between my wife and her, but I can't stop it. Now my aunt is claiming a monthly allowance from me. This is not possible. That's all I have to say. Jumman was cross examined by Algu and others. Then Algu announced, we have gone into the matter carefully. In our opinion, Jumman must pay his aunt a monthly allowance or else the property goes back to her. Now, the two friends were seldom seen together. The bond of friendship between them was broken. In fact, Jumman was Algu's enemy and wanted his revenge. Now, part third. Days passed, and as ill luck would have it, days passed, and as ill luck would have it, Algu Chaudhary found himself in a tight spot. One of his fine pair of bullocks died, and he sold the other to Samju Sahu, a cart driver of the village. The understanding was that Sahu would pay the price of the bullock in a month's time. It so happened that the bullock died within a month. Several months after the bullock's death, Algu reminded Sahu of the money. He hadn't yet paid. Sahu got very annoyed. I can't pay you a penny for the wretched beast you sold me. He brought us nothing but ruin. I have a bullock. Use it for a month and then return it to me. No money for the dead bullock, he said angrily. Algu decided to refer the case to the panchayat. For a second time in a few months, preparations for holding the panchayat were made, and both the parties started meeting people seeking their support. The panchayat was held under the old banyan tree. Algu stood up and said, the voice of the punch is the voice of God. Let Sahu nominate the head punch. I will abide by his decision. Sahu saw his chance and proposed the name of Jumman. Algu's heart sank and he turned pale. But what could he do? The moment Jumman became head punch, he realized his responsibility as judge and the dignity of his office. Could he, seated in that high place, have his revenge now? Could he, seated in that high place, have his revenge now? He thought and thought. No, he must not allow his personal feelings to come in the way of speaking the truth and doing justice. Both Algu and Sahu stated their cases. They were cross examined, and the case was considered deeply. Then Jumman stood up and announced, "It is our opinion that Sahu should pay Algu the price of the bullock. When Sahu bought the bullock, it suffered from no disability or disease. The death of the bullock was unfortunate, but Algu cannot be blamed for it." Algu could not contain his feelings. He stood up and said loudly over and over again, "Victory to the Panchayat! Victory to the Panchayat! This is justice. God lives in the voice of the Panch." He stood up and said loudly, over and over again, "Victory to the Panchayat! This is justice. God lives in the voice of the Panch." Soon after, Jumman came to Algu, embraced him, and said, "Since the last Panchayat, I had become your enemy. Today, I realized what it meant to be a Panch. A Panch has no friend nor enemy. He knows only justice. Let no one deviate from the path of justice and truth for friendship or enmity." Algu embraced his friend and wept, and his tears washed away all the dirt of misunderstanding between them. Algu embraced his friend and wept, and his tears washed away all the dirt of misunderstanding between them. So, this was your story. Okay, I have read it and I hope you have listened carefully. Now, what you have to do, you have to identify the new words that you find in the story. Okay, and then you have to write the words and their meanings. And most importantly, you have to read the whole story yourself so that you can better understand it, or at least try to pronounce the words correctly. Okay, you will listen to me what I have just read, and then you will try yourself to read the story so that your pronunciation and your speaking skills and reading skills will improve. Okay, so this was your assignment. Now in the next class we will see the explanation of the story. Thank you.